Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode on my channel where I share all things business and branding and everything in between. My name is Arabelle, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the reality of running a business as a single mom. Now, whether you're a single mom or whether you're a mama who's looking after all your kids on your own, or whether you have a lot of support, or whether you're happily single but feeling super overwhelmed and you feel like you're always lagging behind something, what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video is going to resonate with you. And my intention for this video today is to really just pull back the curtain and let you see and have a glimpse of what it's like to run a business, be a mom, be successful, and also be going through challenges at the same time. I don't know about you, but if I see someone on social media where they're being raw and real and really sharing the challenges that they're going through, I resonated with so much, because it doesn't matter whether you're earning millions or you're earning $100,000 a month or $10,000 a month or $1,000 a month. I know that all of us are going through our own fair share of challenges, and I want you to not be deceived by this shiny object syndrome in the online world, where all you see is people flying on first class flights and business class flights and life is great and I just manifest this, manifested that. Look, all of that works. I fly first, I fly business, I have manifested so many things, and at the same time I have so many challenges that I go through in my own way too, and I want to show you. And some of these things I don't even know if I've actually told many people, and I hope that by me sharing these things, you see that, number one, building a business is actually not easy. It can be easy, but it comes with its own fair share of challenges. And it's not always up, up, up. And one of the things that really frustrates me in the online world is when people say, oh, if you've already hit $100,000 a month, you don't need to go down. If you go down, that's because you have a blog. Actually, no. There's a lot more than just having a blog. Personally, knowing so many people and having helped so many people out of political situations, life-threatening situations, I know that so many things come into play. And it's okay if you have a dip. It's okay if you're not doing as well as other people right now. It's okay if you're going slower than other people, because I truly believe that business and life in general is the game of patience. It's not about who gets there first. It's not about who lives the most miraculous and this incredible life. And I am all for living an incredible life. I am living an incredible life. Like, I'm literally overlooking the ocean right now. We live on a mountain next to the jungle. And at the same time, I have so many challenges and things that need my attention right now. And so let's go straight in. So number one is me juggling multiple roles. I am a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a lover, I'm a leader, I'm a CEO, I'm a creative director, I'm a content creator. And yes, we've had this company and business for 10 years now. And yes, we've gotten so much better in terms of roles and responsibilities and team members. And yes, I'm still doing multiple roles. And the biggest challenge is not so much about juggling roles. It's more about cognitive switch. One of the biggest things health-wise that I struggle the most is my energy. And I notice that my energy gets drained really easily on some days. And depending on my cycle throughout the month as well, you know, if I'm in my ovulation, I have so much energy, my mind is clear, it's sharp, I am full of ideas. Even if I didn't have enough sleep, I can keep going. But if I'm in my luteal, my energy just drops. And what is that cognitive switch? So let's say I'm here doing a meeting, and then after that, I need to create some content. I'm creating content, and then 3 or 4 people in the team needing my approval or my review or for me to make a decision. Then I'm going to have to switch my mind from creating content into marketing, into sales, into HR, into all these different things. Now, look, we're not a big corporate. We're a small business. Yes, I do have a management team. I do have people within the team who is in charge of different areas, HR, operations, sales, marketing, but still, I'm still very much involved in the business as well as working on the business. And when I do that, I didn't notice it in the beginning, but now I notice more and more as I understand more about myself. I have to do this cognitive switch where I'm doing deep work, creating something, and then suddenly somebody needs my decision or review, and I have to switch. Like, it's almost like pressing a button or shifting the gear in my brain for me to go into that. It sounds very insignificant, but I'm having to do that a lot throughout the days. And the more I do it, the more I notice that my brain starts to get jammed. It's literally like my brain gets jammed. Sometimes people ask me something and I just look at them, like staring at them blank. And I know I heard it and my brain is processing it, but the processor is really low because it's jammed. And that's when I realized about this juggling multiple roles. And that's something that I struggle a lot. And I have to say, I've gotten so much better. When that happens, I notice that my energy, it's almost like the iPhone battery, you know, it like the battery literally just goes down. And if that's something that you experience, let me know. But what I find, it's the simplest trick. And I know I've been told this many times before, do not multitask. It is not good. I used to call myself the queen of multitasking, but I've been doing this, and this little trick helps me so much. And if you're using a MacBook or an iPhone, literally go to your control center, click on focus, and press do not disturb. I literally have turned off majority of notifications on my phone. So maybe try that if you haven't been doing that. Now, the next thing is guilt. Now, I never experienced guilt in this way before becoming a mom, because really it was just me and my dog, and I would work all day every day, and then when it's time for a walk, when it's time to go to the beach, we would go and hang out, me and my dog, and we had the freedom in a way. And then when I became a mom, there was this little human that was dependent on me. Now he's 6, so he's a lot more independent now. But I used to feel a lot of guilt, and especially when it came to work and rest. Now, whenever I was resting, and my boy really wanted me to play. And you can't just say, like, there were people who told me, and he was like 2 or 3. And then people would tell me, well, why would you feel guilt? Just tell the kid to go play on his own. And I'm like, hello, he's 2. He can't be playing on his own all the time. He does independent plays a lot, but it's not like he can just be on his own the whole day and make his own lunch. I have to be there every step of the way. And so whenever I needed to rest, and when I say rest, it's not even like hours of rest. It could just be like half an hour of rest. And then when he would come and ask me to do things, I implode inside myself because I don't want to project anything onto him. And when it kept on happening, I noticed that I started to feel this, something was about to explode. And I realized that it was guilt. It was guilt because this little human needed me, but I also needed rest, and I didn't know how to balance that. And the bigger guilt was with work. When I'm working, I needed that time to switch off, and I started sending him to daycare. I started having some help from a nanny, but there were times where I needed to, put out fires with work. And then in that time, when it coincided with a bad timing for him and he really needed me, that guilt was really bad. So in the beginning years, people would tell me, why are you not socializing? Why are you home all the time? You've become so boring. And that was because I didn't have the time. And also, I was constantly feeling guilty. But what have I done over the years is I've started talking to my little boy what I was going through. And there were points in time where I was going through like a lot of anxiety. There were times where I was just so lethargic, so tired, so exhausted. There were times where I just didn't have the patience. I would explain it to him. He didn't understand in the beginning, but now after 6 years, he really understands now. And when I say, hey, can I just have like a couple of minutes quiet time, please? I really need the space. He understands. So the guilt is becoming less and less. And what I've learned from this experience in the last 6 years being a solo mom and running a business is communication. And if I keep on communicating and being consistent with the way I communicate, being open, being vulnerable, and not projecting, it really helps. Even this little 6-year-old boy really understands. By the way, quick side note, most of us watch these videos and never take any action, or maybe you're ready to make moves but don't know where to start. If you're serious about building a brand that connects with your audience deeply and make real money, start with my brand guide. I'm going to walk you through step by step how you can tell a powerful story that connects deeply with your audience. Grab it now. Now, that leads me to another challenge or struggle that I have, which is lack of time. I always feel like I don't have enough time. What I've started changing in my business over the last couple of years is automation. Like we've started automating a lot of things. The business scaled really fast without us having the people, the skills, or the systems or the processes. And I think that's a good problem to have, but that was also a challenging problem. But now we've started having like a lot more processes and systems and automations in place. It has become a lot more easier. But then there's school drop-off and school pickup. Now we live on a mountain. So the good thing is we have an incredible view. We're next to the jungle. But the bad thing is we don't have a garden. Like there is a land right underneath the house, like on the mountain slope. But we can't go play there. We can't go there because it's a lot of trees. And so because I have a big dog, I have to take my dog out. And so every day there's house stuff, there's work stuff, there's my stuff, and so many things that I always feel like there's not like enough time. But I do know that telling myself I don't have enough time is not a good affirmation. So I've been changing that, and I've been working on that, and I've gotten so much better over the years, but it is still there. Now, if you're someone who always feels like you don't have enough time to do so many things, the one thing that changed for me or improved this particular challenge for me is to prioritize things. If we go to an emergency ward, they would triage things, right? If you have just slight fever, they probably will look at you in the next 1 to 2 hours. Whereas if you cut your finger off or if you had a big accident, then they would treat you straight away. And that's what I've started implementing over the last few years is triaging things, and it's called ABCDE method. And basically it's like A is like must do, right? B is like should do. C is like nice to do. And so when I actually started categorizing it, yes, I still have like 1,000 things to do on my list, but then suddenly what I need to focus on right now has become so much lesser. And by triaging it that way, the lack of time problem has improved so much. So maybe you can try that too. And then from there, the next challenge is exhaustion. Now, back in 2021, I was diagnosed with CFS, and my doctor told me, oh, there's nothing we can do about that. You need to go see a psychologist. And so I was like, chronic fatigue syndrome, psychologist. Okay, if I needed to see a psychologist, I will. I went to see a psychologist, didn't really help. And so I started going down the rabbit hole, trying to find ways to help me. And I started doing NAD plus infusions. I started doing vitamin drips. I started changing my diet. And I realized that one of the biggest contributing factors for my CFS was the lack of sleep. And I also noticed that I was always on like this high alert. If you drop a needle in the middle of the night, I would hear it. My senses are so heightened that I get this sensory overload a lot. And I keep wondering, back in the days when I used to party and hang out with a lot of friends, how did I do that? Because I would be in a bar screaming at each other because that's the only way to talk because you can't hear each other. And we would be like in a group of 10, 15, 20 people and we would hang out all night. Now I would go meet a friend or two or three people and there may be like one or two conversations going on and I would come back home super drained because I'm having this sensory overload. And so I don't know what happened along the way, but that happened and that contributes a lot to my exhaustion as well. I now do like every 6 months to do genetic testing to see what is changing in my body. I've been able to reverse my age. I found out that I had a lot of inflammation in my body and I've been able to bring it down. Before my eyesight was bad, there were a lot of things that were going wrong, especially like 3 years ago. And since then, I've been on this health journey where I now have a lot more energy. I am taking out really good quality supplements. I'm working on my sleep so much better now. And all of that combination changed this exhaustion. And another thing that I realized was this understanding my cycle. Now, if you're a lady and if you go through these 4 different cycles every single month, which is your menstruation and then your follicular, your ovulation, and your luteal phases, I think it's really important for us as women to understand that because back in the days when I didn't have this knowledge, every month at this certain point, I would be going crazy. I would be reviewing the people around me, reviewing my life choices. Now I get it. It's my luteal phase. And there were times where I can feel my hormones were crashing. I didn't know that was hormones. I just thought I was going crazy. I always ask people around me, is it Mercury retrograde? Like I'm feeling this? No, it's actually all my hormones crashing. And so for this exhaustion piece, I've been doing a lot of changes. And I actually wrote a blog post around that. I'm going to share with you a link in the description if you want to know how I've been able to turn my health around. And yes, I do a lot of mindfulness meditation, breath work, and all of that. Now, this brings me to the last piece, the challenges that I go through. The reality of running a business as a single mom is dating. Now, when I became single, a lot of my friends told me that I needed to be on Tinder and, all these apps. And I just need to go out there and meet people. And I'm like, I'm not ready. I don't want to do that. And I had this newborn baby. Dating was the last thing on my mind. And then now the newborn turned 1, 2, and then people kept on telling me, you need to go out and date. You need to see people. You just go out just for a drink or something. And I'm like, I didn't have the time and it wasn't a priority for me. The priority for me was firstly to heal my body. And then secondly was to look after this child. I never believed in leaving my little boy with someone else. I would like to be a hands-on mom. I'm still a very hands-on mom. And that's why I think there's conflict within myself where I experience all these challenges because I think if I were to outsource looking after him, then I would probably have more time to build a business, to do self-care and to sleep more and to go out and date. And I didn't want to do that. And look, when somebody tells me that I can have everything like simultaneously, it is not true. We can't have it all. We just can't. We are always sacrificing something. And to me, that was something that I happily sacrificed because I'm not going to get those years back with my boy. And I want to be there every step of the way. And even if that meant I would be severely sleep deprived, I would have this mom guilt all the time, I would be exhausted, I wouldn't have social life, like I would do it all over again. And I'm just really glad that I did that. But that also meant that my dating life was non-existent. People ask me, Arabelle, like I just split up, I have this little child or I'm starting a business. Should I go out and date? And I don't know. It's really up to you. But what I would say is that I truly believe that we should never date because it's a rebound, or we should never date because there is a void inside of ourselves that we need to fill. I truly believe that we should date because you really like that person and you want to be with that person, and you're whole, that person is whole, and the two of you becomes 200%, not 100%. I've been told by many people, oh, if you're 50%, you need to find another 50%, only then you can become whole. And what I did in the first few years of being single was just purely worked on myself. I went through a lot of healing, and I looked at the parts of myself that attracted the unhealthy patterns in the relationship before, and I just got clear what kind of relationship that I wanted to be in. And hey, look, maybe if you want me to talk about relationship, maybe I'll create another video. I'm not a relationship expert, but I can share my own experience. And so there you go. These are just some of the challenges that I go through while building a business. And there's a lot more. And if you want more, if you want me to dive deeper into other areas as well, I'm happy to create a part 2 video also. But now that I've shared all of this, and if you are going through some or one of these, I want you to know that you will get past it. It's just temporary. It doesn't last long, and have patience. And like I said, I wouldn't do it any other way. I don't want to go back in time. If I could turn back in time and delete some of these experiences, none of those, I would keep all of these because of those challenges and because of those really hard times and moments and patches and phases in my life. I've become way more resilient now, and I've grown a thicker skin, and I've been able to really implement this self-leadership within myself, which is allowing me to navigate both pain and power simultaneously. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe this channel, and I'll be creating more videos as well.